Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji aya nu, goeiemorgen.
Pakhair agale, ni hao, tune shumme, washmale, ohai, genzaimis, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chutore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabiab, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning, alongside the very amazing, the very talented, the very fantastic Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan on a cold Monday morning. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I'm absolutely great, just a little cold because of course this is almost the winter peak, can we say that?
Yeah, I think we can say that it's not a winter peak. I think that we are still on way towards the peak as well. But yeah, it's getting colder. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, for everybody who's out there, this is, I mean, this is very rare. And I'm sorry that I have to talk about it, Shiza. But look at me, man. I'm wearing the
know where you're
scarf, I'm
going.
wearing a coat and whatnot so that I do not fall sick. And I'm keeping myself warm. What about you?
Well, okay, here's the thing. So, of course, when I came to work, I
Yeah.
was just over-layered, you know that.
Yeah.
But for this specific reason, of course, I mean, I feel like you need to look good early in the morning as well.
Exactly.
But this is one of the spirits that you should start your day with.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone can resort to different things as well, right?
Exactly, and which is why, you know, so I have a very different thing to say over here today. So last 3 days, ladies and gentlemen, Islamabad kind of experienced some great fun. So Islamabad Taste was happening. I happened to go over there. But there was this one thing which made me feel very disturbed, and that was
Okay.
that whenever you organize such an event for people, what they do is that it's the people who ruin the entire fun of it. And it was, I saw it yesterday. People were crowding and people were right next to the stage. They didn't know what to do, what not to
Yeah.
do. And the MC actually kept on saying to move back, but nobody listened. And for all of those people who are out there, you know, if you go to such events, please make sure that you listen to the person who's on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shazad, I feel like, sorry, for the people who do that, they're ruining the fun for the people who don't do that. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So a lot of families are there as well. And I think I do speak on behalf of a lot of people out there. Families, you know, wait for such events to happen. And especially in the Twin Cities, I mean,
Exactly.
things do happen in Lahore and Karachi a lot
Yeah.
as compared to Islamabad. So whenever something is planned over here, everyone's looking forward to it, each and every single person I know. But then again, there are some elements of the society that may ruin your fun. So if you are one of those, please identify yourselves and, I mean, be better for the next time.
Exactly. And you know, there was one more thing as well that the host actually kept on saying that because of the fact that there were a lot of people, so kids were actually roaming around and playing around. So quite a lot of parents actually kind of missed out on their kids and they lost their kids as well, which was very worrisome for those people as well. But then at the same time, please make sure that whenever you go to such events, you keep an eye on your kids as well. In fact, hold their hands.
All right. Were you ever lost as a child?
Well, I don't
I
think
was
so.
once,
I
it
mean,
was-
even when I was a child, I never got lost.
All right. So, you know, when I was a child, there used to be this thingy at Lok Virsa,
Yeah.
sort of an exhibition or mela type, and I just once got lost over there. But it's all right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so Shazad, I feel like you and I are really most proud of one of the facts about Pakistan,
Yep.
that Pakistanis happen to be the most philanthropic nation in the world.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that, because now I know where the conversation is going. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've actually been joined by such an amazing personality over here in the studios with us that he initiated one of his NGOs or one of his organization, which was a charitable organization, and he did it himself. It was his brainchild, but he expanded in 40 different countries, making sure that he's actually going to help people.
Wow.
And the best part over here is that it has an aspect of religion in it as well, because of the fact that the name is Islamic Relief, so it's a Muslim charity, ladies and gentlemen. But then there was this question in my head, and I was like, okay, so you know, when it's charity, why do we even have to label it, whether it's Islamic, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Christian or anything?
Absolutely.
Because charity is charity, and you help people. So once you help people, you do not really need to label anybody. But then at the same time, this gentleman took out time, and on our request, he made sure that he's going to be with us today. He's a great guy. He's helped millions of people all over the globe, and I think that this is something which is worth sharing with our audiences as well. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may probably be, in your drawing rooms, in your rooms, or whether you're going out and you're watching it on your cell phone, please make sure that you join your hands to clap and welcome the CEO of Islamic Relief Worldwide, Mr. Nasir Haq Hamid. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
You're welcome.
So first things first, let us know about how Islamic Relief came into being.
Right, Islamic Relief started in 1984. It was founded by a medical student called Dr. Hani Al-Banna. It was in Birmingham. While he was studying, he noticed there was a lot of famine in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
When he visited Sudan, and he came back, said, I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Then, inspired by Islamic teachings, you know, zakat giving, sadaqah, and so on, he set up Islamic Relief.
Okay.
All right.
Since then, in 1984, currently now we are in 40 countries.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So here's the thing. Of course, I mean, this is amazing. We already mentioned that Pakistanis are really, you know, on top of the order when we're talking about philanthropic work as well. So Shahzad, question remains, and I think that is mine as well. When you say this is a faith-based organization, so to my understanding, of course, I think the beginning of it was when you guys came together, and of course, you guys had a shared faith, shared belief.
Yeah.
But then I feel like when it's charity, it should go beyond all those orders as well. Right? So what does it have to do with being a Muslim?
Right. Okay. Let me just first comment on your thing about the Pakistanis being most philanthropic
Yes. Yeah.
and being very Islamic Relief. Actually, its main success has been because of the Pakistani diaspora, both in the UK, in Canada, and in USA. The biggest supporters of Islamic Relief are the Pakistani communities in those countries. To come back to your question about faith, there are so many elements of it. First of all, let's agree that sort of 80% of the world population have some sort of faith.
Of course.
Okay, and in faith, they rely a lot and they trust and respect people who have faith like them, and people who are going to deliver the aid. And there are two elements of it. One is your donor community. When you are inspired by your faith, they trust you more, they give you, and you're talking their language. When we talk about zakat, when we talk about sadaqah, they know they're talking somebody who is going to meet their religious obligations. We're going to use the zakat in the right way. Secondly, also, when you work with communities, some communities are very close communities. They don't trust anybody. So when they see somebody like them, somebody who believes their beliefs, then they trust them more to work. And I'll just give you one example. 2 years ago, I was in Sudan.
Okay.
Visiting our projects, and then I went to visit the Swiss embassy. And the deputy ambassador met me, and we were discussing, and he said to me, Nasser, in Sudan, the Swiss embassy only gives their fund either to United Nations or to Islamic Relief, no one else.
All right.
Wow.
And I said, why? He said, because, he said, you look like them, speak their language, you have the same faith, and you have access to remote areas that no one else has.
Yeah.
And that matters so much.
It matters so much. And let me tell you, is the world maybe, say, 40, 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, did not recognize the role of faith-based organizations globally. Currently, the UN have what's called Interagency Task Force on Religion.
All
Yeah.
right.
That they work to see, okay, how do we engage with faith leaders? How do we engage with faith communities? Because they have access to millions of people.
Yep.
All right.
And they went further than that. They set up what's called a multi-faith advisory council. I'm one of the advisories on the board on multi to just basically ask us, okay, how do we deal with faith communities?
Yeah.
And there are so many examples that I can give you later on that we used the faith teachings to solve modern issues that no one else can solve.
Wow. And I feel like, of course, that is very relevant to within the society as well. I do want to discuss some very specific cases, especially in
Go ahead.
Pakistan too. But before that, I want to ask you, of course, you've been working on so many projects for quite some years now, but there must be this one that is really close to your heart. Can you recall one of them right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think it's the projects that we do with orphans and widows.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Is for me is closest to my heart for a very simple reason that normally these are the most neglected people in the communities. And because due to many cultural issues, widows or divorced women and orphans, nobody pays attention to them. Okay? They get neglected, they are socially excluded. So we empower them, we work with them,
Okay.
and we've had so many students, even a couple of days ago in Pakistan, there was an orphan that we sponsored all the way. Now she's doing, she's just in her final year on studying medicine. And then
Wow.
she wants to become a doctor, and then when she's going to set up her own charity and help other orphans.
Exactly.
I hear this type of story all the time, and this is what I love. When you see you sponsor a child for 10, 15 years, and then they graduate and they want to help others.
And that's great. And so just when you were sharing this example, this came across my head, ladies and gentlemen. The internet is going crazy about that guy as well. So there's this guy who's a single father, and he adopted a baby girl with Down syndrome, which was
Okay.
actually rejected by 20 different families. And it was just because of the fact that the condition of the baby, since I just mentioned that it was Down syndrome as well. So orphans, yes, obviously you're sponsoring orphans, but what about people who have mental illnesses or who are sick, who cannot go to work, who cannot do anything by themselves? Is there any kind of relief, Islamic relief, providing them?
We do.
Okay.
We do. In fact, recently, about 2 years ago, we developed, as part of the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations developed, one of them is called Leave No One Behind.
Wow.
Okay, it was because sometimes you go and try to help people, but the strongest, the vocal ones are the ones who get all the aid, all the support,
That's
and
true,
so on.
yeah.
So what we try to do is that we try to look at who is excluded from our aid programs and other things. And many agencies look at disabled people, people with disability, or people with elderly people, or sometimes women, sort of a gender issue.
Yeah.
So what we looked actually, we designed our own what called a marker tool to look at the 3 dimensions: people with disability, of their age, and their gender, and to try to design our programs, we address all these issues. And yes, we have done, I mean, it's only a couple of months ago, I was in Albania, and I was asking people, well, who are we helping? And the neglected people, as I said, people with mental health in remote areas, we are actually having mobile ambulances and mobile clinics going to their houses and treating them. And our commitment for inclusion is that we have 3 protection and inclusion officers. They look at all this type of this. Who is being left behind? Who is being neglected that we have not seen? Because they don't come and run for help. They're just in their houses, remote areas. So we do a lot of that work as well.
Faith in humanity restored.
Yeah, and yes, and by the way, also with orphans and with widows, we provide psychosocial support. Because sometimes they do suffer a lot emotionally and
Most
psychologically.
of the times, not sometimes. I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
And what we do is that as part of that, through playgrounds and play games, and we have psychologists actually dedicated full-time working with orphans and with their mothers.
Beautiful.
Well, that is such an extensive network of all these things. I mean, that is what I established from what you said. But here's the thing, you are a non-governmental organization, non-profit. And mashallah, working on for so long and helping out so many communities. How does that happen?
Well, alhamdulillah, Muslim communities are generally very generous.
Yes.
Very generous.
Of course.
In the UK, there was a research that the highest giving people are Muslims. Okay, 80% of our income comes from individuals.
All right.
Only 20% from institutions. Alhamdulillah, we have we enjoy the trust and respect of major Western governments, such as the UK, the Swiss government, Swedish government, and we have German, Canada, and US. All these actually fund us, but it only accounts to about 20% of our income. And also we work with the United Nations. But 80% of our income comes from individuals, and we are growing. We are the largest independent Muslim charity in the world, and we are growing fast because of the work we do.
Yeah.
And that helps us just to have access to communities and to talk to them. We work with imams. I was only had a lunch yesterday with 20 imams from Rawalpindi and Islamabad.
Okay.
And the basic thing was actually we noticed in Rawalpindi there's a lot of child abuse, there's child labor. And through our child protection program, which is called Channels of Hope, we trained imams to teach their communities, their congregations, how bad it is to abuse children and child labor, and then to detect it. And even we train them, we got lawyers to show them, the Pakistani law on child rights, where they should report it, how they should deal with police, how to detect it when children are abused. So all that program we do. And you know what they asked me yesterday? They said, look, you're doing great work on these issues, but now we've noticed that we want you to work on juveniles that are in prison, and we want you to work in madrasas.
Wow.
So this is how people trust us and work with them.
And I think that's the right approach as well. But since we've talked about where Islamic relief is actually in 40 different countries, I want to bring it back to Pakistan, because Islamic relief has been working in Pakistan for more than 27 years now.
That's right.
So child abuse, you mentioned, is one of the programs, child protection program, where you're actually working for the rights of the children as well. But then there might be several other areas you have covered over the period of 2.7 decades. Well, not probably, but that's how it is, over the period of 27 years. So would you mind mentioning about all of those programs which have taken place over here in Pakistan through Islamic relief?
Yes. We've done a lot here, right? 27 years is a long time. We worked on disaster response a lot. The biggest one we did was the 2005 earthquake in Kashmir. We actually got an award from Pakistan government because we were the first responders to that emergency.
Wow.
We rebuilt shelters, food, and so on. We work on DRR, which is the disaster risk reduction because of climate change. And we have climate change adaptation programs. And all our programs we design now have climate change them embedded sort of adaptation because to make sure that obviously that we reduce the impacts of climate change. If we cannot stop it, at least we reduce. But one of the best things that we did in Pakistan, I'm very proud of it, that over the 27 years, we've set up 5,000 community organizations.
Oh, wow.
Out of them, currently 3,000 of them are still active.
Oh, that's
the way it
amazing.
works is that we want to empower communities. That we don't want to create a reliance. We don't want to stay in those rural areas and other places forever. So when we teach them, when we help them, we set up community organizations and say, look, now we need to work together, okay, to help yourself, to mobilize yourself. I just came from AJK 2 days ago. I met with one community organization called Haveli Agriculture and Development Foundation, which we set up. They came and told us how it transformed their lives after the earthquake. Now we've taught them on agriculture. We did the whole value chain from the time that we trained them how to do the farming to the time that they sell the whole supplies into the market. Now they are self-sustained. One of them actually become very rich, and he was showing me his photos and others. They look and said, my life has completely changed. But the important thing was they came and said, Islamically, we want to change the name. We don't want to call it Haveli Agricultural Development Foundation. We just want to call it Haveli Development Foundation because we want to do education, we want to do women empowerment, we want to do other things.
Wow.
And I said, Alhamdulillah, that you reach this maturity, that you are thinking yourself to change your name, to extend the sectors you work, that we've achieved our mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
I
is the
agree with
way I
that as
look at
well.
it.
And that's great, and that's true too as well. But now, towards the end of this segment, you know, I had two questions in my head. One, obviously, the future plans. But the other one is a very difficult question to answer. Now, this has been in my head for a longer period of time, and I don't know whether I'm right with this or not. But I'm still going to ask it. So what I've seen is that when there are organizations or NGOs who are actually working at the grassroots level, there's a lot of data collection. And that data collection, I think at times can actually be used against a country because of the fact that you literally know the nitty-gritties of what the ground realities are.
Yeah, against the national security.
How do you protect that data from reaching the wrong hands?
Well, okay.
That's very technical, though.
First of all, obviously, because we are based in the West, we have data protection laws that are very, very strict. Okay. We implement all those laws. We train our staff. We have data protection officers. And we make sure this data is only accessible to the people who need it within our staff. So, and they only see the information they need. I mean, I might have a lot of information about you, but if this individual employee doesn't need to see the whole data, then they will not see it. So we do that. And any data breach is dealt with very severely. Okay, so that's quite important. We invest a lot in this area. We train people, and I can assure you, and we only collect, by the way, data that we need. That even if we find out more about you, we don't need it, we tell ourselves, don't collect it. We don't, only the data we need that we collect.
And that's very relieving as well.
Thank you so much.
And we don't share information with anybody else.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that is amazing, and that is so good to learn as well. Early in the morning, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
gracing our show with your presence as well. And I feel like this one thing I need to mention before we do head out to a short break. In a world where Muslims belonging to any country are scrutinized, like you mentioned that in so many states, the government, along with the natives, are in collaboration with you. They trust you. I feel like you're doing an amazing job. You're bringing a very good name to Muslims and Islam itself. Thank you so much for doing that.
And you are the reason for my smile today.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.
For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you check out their work. It's Islamic Relief Worldwide. They're working in 40 different countries, and if there's any help, you can definitely seek their help too as well, if you require any. But thank you very much, Ms. Nasser, for being with us. It was lovely to have you. And I definitely take inspiration from people like you. And I believe, and we believe over here on the show, that people out there in 46 different countries are actually taking inspiration from him as well and from us. We're going for a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, I have a different language to speak.
Oh, wow. Stay tuned.
Sitar is a plucked stringed instrument used in Pakistani classical music. The instrument flourished under the Mughal Empire. Sitar is named after a Persian word, setar, meaning three strings. It derives its distinctive timbre and resonance from sympathetic strings, bridge design, a long hollow neck, and a gourd-shaped resonance chamber. There are many popular modern styles of sitar, offered in a variety of substyles and decorative patterns.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just got tuned into PTV World. Chala Sai, Kadu Wanje, Mani Kadia. And I think that everybody's doing great outside.
What was that?
All right, so this is me speaking Sindhi or trying to speak Sindhi as well, but there's a reason why I'm speaking Sindhi today.
Okay.
Do you want to know that?
Of course.
All right, so I think I'll have to show you. So my producer, please can you? All right. So Shiza, today happens to be Sindhi, yesterday happens to be Sindhi Culture Day and was celebrated with enthusiasm across the province as thousands of people dressed in the cultural attire poured on the streets in dozens of rallies to mark the occasion.
Oh, wow.
But this year, Sindhi Culture Day's theme was Ekta,
Okay.
which means unity.
Unity.
People wearing ajrak, a block-printed shawl and Sindhi caps danced to the tunes of Sindhi songs as they moved in rallies. People also danced to the tunes of Sindhi songs as they moved in the rallies in Qasimabad and Latifabad as well. Every square inch of the city was brimming with people dancing to the tunes of the cultural songs.
Oh, wow.
What a beautiful day. And I think that I would like to take advantage of this opportunity where, thank God that we've realized that we really need to celebrate and observe these days so that our culture and heritage stays in place.
Yeah, exactly. And Shazad, like you know, I sort of, when you started speaking Sindhi, I was like, oh, hold on, I maybe know where this is going. Because yesterday I was reading news here on PTV Well, ladies and gentlemen. So of course I did announce there was a cultural day for Sindhi, and I always felt like, Shazad, you know, this specific thing started a few years ago only. Why not do we have these, you know, specific days celebrating the unique cultures and traditions and even the languages of Pakistan for every other province, not even province, or let's say tribes, even cultures. But I'm so happy we have this one, and we have some amazing people to celebrate this day with us.
And ladies and gentlemen, since I've lived in Karachi for more than 5 or 6 years, let me tell you, I think that Sindhi people are very hospitable people. They're very warm. And whenever you go to them and whenever you have a problem, they are the first ones to say, Sai, tension nahi legi. So Sai is like one of those words which they call you with love. And I think that everybody within Sindh, or with them not be in Sindh or anywhere in the world, they're always full of love and they always love their culture. And may it be any household in Sindhi or in Sindh, they'll always make sure to that their kids actually learn to speak Sindhi as well.
Exactly.
Doesn't really matter how modern they get as well.
No, that's true. And you know, for 2 years I was living in Sakhar because of course my dad was in army, of course. And then we were posted over there. And like you mentioned, of course, they're very hospitable people and also very respectable. And like they really want to share and involve you in their happinesses, whatever they are, whatever they're celebrating.
Exactly, that's what it is. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely going to talk about Sindhi culture. And we have been joined by some amazing guests over here who are wearing these Sindhi ajraks and Sindhi caps as well. Even though they didn't get any for us, but it's perfectly all right.
It's okay.
Because it's our job to highlight the day as well. But then at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we have actually been joined by a former diplomat as well. He's none other than Mr. Ali Mardan Rahujo. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
वालेकुम सलाम।
क्या हाल है साईं?
बिल्कुल ठीक ठाक आप सुनाएं।
Alhamdulillah, Dadu Sutto.
Dadu Sutto, Dadu
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you, and you look amazing as well. And alongside Ali Mardan Rahujo Saab, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by Sajada Nashi, Hazrat Kalandar Lal Shabazz, Dr. Sayyid Mehdi Raza Shah Sabzwari. Assalamu alaikum, Sain. Kya hala?
Walaikum assalam. Theek hala. Are you okay?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Let's get the conversation started. We are too young to understand the Sindhi culture as well, especially being a Punjabi or a Pashtun, because we didn't really get to see the interior Sindh as well.
True.
But if you are to summarize Sindhi culture in a few lines, what would you say?
Culture is basically it's a vast field. I can't say that it can be summarized in 2 or 3 lines.
Yeah.
It encompasses the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, it has some tangible offshoots, it has some hidden values, some other values. So whatever we see, for example, see, perceive, is something tangible. How we dress, how we talk, how we our cuisine. These are all the cultural offshoots of Sindh. But there are also other aspect which is intangible, means value system, the respect you mentioned,
Exactly,
you know,
morals.
how we deal with people, how we give respect to the others.
Yeah.
This is the other part of the culture. So you have to combine all these things in one aspect,
Yeah.
which is Sindhi culture. In 2 or 3 words, we can say that Sindhi culture is basically Sufi culture, is tolerant culture.
Alhamdulillah.
We have secular values, you know, we are inclusive culture, we always welcome people. So it has a wide absorption and people can, you know, can easily be assimilated with us.
Great.
Thank you so much for saying that, and I actually really have to say something over here, Shahzad. All the, stories where minorities of Pakistan are living in harmony with the majority Muslims over here. To be honest, all of them I've heard are from interior Sindh.
Yeah.
Either, areas in Mitti or Tarparkar and even those places, and it's really, really inspiring for me to hear that.
And they even have their temples over there as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the most interesting
And they practice
question-
freely. I love it.
Yeah, and the most interesting question, I think, Dr. Saab, I'm going to move on to you. So whenever I come across a Sindhi, so what happens is that they always have an attire of a bureaucrat, So they'll be like this, and they'll be very bossy, and they'll have their this persona to their personality, and the charisma is always larger than life. Why is it that? So that whenever you come across a Sindhi, you will feel as if he's a government officer or something of that sort. I think that it's naturally within their characteristics of the personality.
Well, you are right in a way, but it has, obviously, it has developed through maybe many thousands of years.
Exactly.
Because, this Sindhi culture is a very ancient culture, like, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years before Christ, even the Sindhi culture was present and very well settled in this Indus Valley civilization, which is called the Indus Valley civilization. And we have the monuments like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro to all show all those ancient cultures. So we Sindhis have come a long way, and we have developed a setup. So that's why probably we have established style.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. So here's the thing. Now, when we were talking about the elements of the Sindhi culture, sir, you mentioned that Sufism happens to be one of the very prominent factors, or let's say elements, of course, of the culture. Now, first of all, we're very blessed to have you over here, sir. You being the sitting Sajada Nashin for Seven Sharif as well. I think it's very appropriate to ask you how Sufism has been a part of the Sindhi culture for so long, and it's intact, the values.
You see, Sufis were always welcomed in Indus Valley historically through a millennia. So they settled here, and they sort of adjusted the tone of the people. Kalandar Lal Shabazz settled here 7 centuries ago, 4 centuries ago. The greatest Sindhi poet, Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai, was born in Sindhi. He has the greatest collection of poetry in Sindhi on so many topics.
Exactly.
Then there is Sachal Samast, and there are other shrines also. So basically, Sufi culture and Sindhi cultures go
Hand in hand.
And it's great, but let's dig in a little more deeper as well. So, I mean, whenever we speak about culture, obviously, you fall short of words as in what to and how to explain, because it's culture.
It's so
and
diverse.
it can be explained, it really needs to be shown to people as well. But one thing which I know for sure is that whenever you go to Sindh, you know, Sindh, you will definitely get that taste as well. I mean, for example, when we go in Punjab, for example, you know, we might not get that taste of being a Punjabi, but whenever you go to Sindh, that's how they function. You know, every household, you know, they'll have an ajrak, they will have a cap, and then they're kind of in love with their culture as well. Very sorry for this one. But then at the same time, how important do you think that it is for the parents to make sure that their kids actually understand the culture, and how do you think that you have induced your culture into your children as well?
Exactly. First of all, when you love your country, you feel proud of it.
Exactly.
You always would like to transfer your culture to your generation.
Exactly.
And this is something obvious, you know.
Yep.
So we Sindhi, as a cultural group, we always love our culture. So we would like to transfer all these things to our children. So first of all is language, you know. We make it sure that we will speak Sindhi with our young generation, because the language actually holds the value. So when the language is transformed in a proper way, in a proper colloquial way, then things will be transferred to them.
Yep.
The second is that we always have a set cultural values. You know, we always respect our elders. We always love our neighbors. You know, it's a fellow feeling which always transmit to our young generation. You know.
Exactly.
Then we have also our celebrations. You know, like marriage celebration, funerals, other things. You know, all these cultural values or whatever it is, it has to be transferred to new generation.
Yeah.
So it should be carried forward. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah,
this is
agreed.
basically the love of the land, the love
Land.
of the language, love of the country, which we actually transmit to the young generation, and we feel proud of it.
And it's
so
great.
I just want to add one thing.
Yeah.
We don't feel proud because we are great. We want to feel, you know, proud of our culture so that we want to become great.
You
Something
take
like that.
ownership of
Yeah,
it.
ownership,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it's great. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've got a very important point to raise over here. Because, and if you're celebrating and observing Sindhi Culture Day, I think that the leadership within the Sindh has actually played a very pivotal and an important role, because whenever you get to see them in their speeches, they'll always make sure to use Sindhi, or to probably speak about Sindhi culture as well, or to wear an ajrak. And I think that in today's time, majority of the leadership has actually forgotten about culture, and they do not really speak publicly. Even when they're speaking publicly, they do not really mention the culture. Or whenever you're at a ceremony, I think that the leaders really need to talk about it.
I do agree with
And I
that.
think that within Sindh, I'm really not sure how many political parties are actually functioning over there, but the majority or the most popular party has actually always made sure to promote their culture. How do you think it has had an impact? Because they have this entire festival which is around Sindhi values as well. So how important do you think it is for the leaders in today's time to make sure that you promote culture?
You see, the leaders of any political party in Sindh are, of course, Sindhi.
Yeah.
So they have to promote
Yeah.
their own culture.
Exactly.
So this is what is going on. And the most important thing is that Sindhi speaking people are so many, like, you know, roughly they said that about 40 million Sindhis live in
40
Pakistan.
million, wow.
40 million. And about 12 million more Sindhis are across the border in India.
All right.
And I think rough estimate could be about another 30 million diaspora spread all around the world, like in UK, USA, and the Far East.
Exactly.
So it's a well-established, 1,000-years-old culture.
Yeah.
So one has to, you know,
Talk about
keep
it.
track of it and to maintain it.
Yeah.
And we are so proud that, as Rahuja Saab told, that we transfer our traditions to our offspring's, children's, and this is a practice, and it is giving good dividends. And at the moment, we are having a rather a little comeback because of the media and Sindhi television channels, that now this message is now being spread all around the world.
Exactly.
And our Sindhi culture is now being shown all around.
Alhamdulillah.
That is amazing. So here's the thing. The theme for this year is Ekta, unity. Can you please run us through it? Why did you guys choose this theme? Of course, it means a lot, but this one specifically for this year. And how have you inculcated this value of unity among Sindhi people?
You see, Sindhis are never radical. We are not radicalized.
Okay.
And we cannot be, because of our Sufi and cold tradition. We are hospitable people.
Yep.
You know, we are the people, we can take the food of our children to offer to our guests.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how, you know, we see other people also. So this is the interaction we see with other cultures. And our interaction, especially in Pakistan, with other culture is very good. Even if you see that now so many other cultures, the people of other culture who are settled in Sindh, they are turning into Sindhi speaking people, like Punjabis settled in Sindh, they speak fluent Punjabi.
Exactly.
Balochis settled in Sindh, they speak fluent Sindhi. Even now, our Urdu speaking brothers have also started talking in Sindhi, and you from Punjab are talking in
Yeah,
Sindhi.
he opened the show in Sindhi.
Yeah,
actually.
I've been in love with Sindhi for a longer period of time. But now, sir, what I'm going to do is that since we're celebrating the Sindhi Culture Day, so I'm going to take a few names, and whatever comes to your head in the first place, in the first second, that's and you're going to answer that. Okay. So, for example, so for both of you, land.
We always love our land, you know.
Sir, what about
Our
you?
lovely motherland.
Zabardast. Family.
Family is something super, you know, superior.
All
We,
right.
we feel proud of being part of any family.
Tribesmen.
The whole clan, the family, the whole tribesmen,
Yes.
the clan,
Yes, exactly. I think that's great as well. Kids.
kids, they are our future.
Friends.
Always
Oh,
to be,
that's our life.
Wow, that's
See,
so
ladies and
sweet.
gentlemen, so the sole reason why I actually asked this question was so that we can get a true understanding. Because for all of those friends who are Sindhi and I've been to their places, they have very lavish lifestyles, and usually what happens is that they happen to be the head of the entire clan as well. So there's this tribesmanship going on in Sindh for the longest period of time. But the unfortunate aspect is that for all of those tribesmen or all of the people within the clan, I don't think that they get the kind of life to live where we say that it is appreciated. So the leader of the tribesmen is definitely living a very lavish lifestyle, but the people whom he or she is responsible to look after are not living a good lifestyle. I'm sorry to say that, but why do you think it's that? Why do you think there's a lot of disparity?
There is a disparity, agreed. And I think this disparity will not last any more longer. Why? Because there is a very important factor that now our youth is now going for education.
Yep.
They are taking, active part and
Exactly.
getting themselves further.
Yeah.
And we are indulging in business which we were not in the first. We were not. After, creation of Pakistan, Sindhis are now slowly entering into the business sector also. So, the economic, socio-economic level will rise.
Exactly.
And on the other hand, the upper class, the upper Sindhi class which you mentioned, is now realizing that this difference cannot be maintained for much longer because of the media and everything, and now it has to balance out.
Exactly.
But always there will be some social strata will
Yeah.
remain, and that is everywhere.
And as
Everywhere
long
in the
as there are
world.
people like me, I think we'll definitely make sure to raise awareness about that as well.
Oh, sure.
But ladies and gentlemen, right now we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Miss Farzana, who actually holds quite a lot of cultural events back in Sindh as well. So Miss Farzana, thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm fine. What about you? Your program is going on very nice, mashallah.
Thank you very much. Chahala.
Allah to shukr aata badayo sab khair.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So, what do you have to say today? I mean, it's a big day. It was a big day yesterday, but what do you have to say about it? How important it is for every province over here in Pakistan to celebrate their own culture?
Actually, I want to say about the Sindhis. Sindhis are rising, mashallah, in overall Pakistan, overall in the world, and our always message is love, care, and we always saying welcome to all guests from all the world because our message is always love and care. So we are very proud to feel about that. We are celebrating Sindhi Culture Day in all over the world, and we are on very proud of it.
For saying that, but then how did you celebrate the Sindhi Culture Day yesterday?
Yesterday, I have organized a little program regarding so many people attended that program. My colleagues, my friends, my Sindhi colleagues were in my program, and they were very appreciated that you have to do like those programs. It's a very good thing. And so many people are celebrating their culture, so it's very pleasure to our culture day. So that's why.
It's so true. Thank you so much for being on the call with us, Ms. Farzana, and thank you so much for sharing all those things that you did yesterday as well.
Exactly.
Congratulations to everyone who was celebrating this very precious day. And thank you, gentlemen, for informing us about your culture as well. And then, of course, I feel like for everyone watching out there, it was a very, informative...
So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of...
World This Morning.
On Twitter.
World This Morning without a G.
On Dailymotion and YouTube.
World This Morning.
And this fabulous repeat is going to be at
5 past 11 p.m. tonight.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.